had no idea you were going to say that to me. Do you mind if I sit down?
No.
Good, because I've had a kind of rough day. I came from Tucson this morning at a wedding yesterday in Tucson, and my throat's kind of a little, I've already had Spanish Mass, and that kind of wears me out a little bit. So anyways, it's great to be with you. Again, how you guys doing?
Great.
Real great. Good. I have the same answer for so many times. People say, how you doing? Fine, good, great, awesome, all those kind of things. And one time I was in a dollar store and kind of walking around, because dollar stores are kind of fun because everything's a dollar. It's kind of fun, you know what there is. And I'm walking by some guy, and a black guy sitting there. I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, I'm blessed. I said, I like that. Can I use that? He goes, sure, that's free. It's for everybody. Because there's a reality about being blessed. We don't always are fine. We don't always are great. But we are truly always blessed, no matter what position of life we're in. And so I adopted that. So I walk around now and people say, hey, how you doing? I'm blessed. So I was, later on, I was at one of the events we used to have where we'd help out the poor. We'd get at one place and we'd have services galore for all these people who were homeless in different situations of life. And I walked in and this other guy asked me, he says, hey, how you doing? I said, well, I'm blessed. And he goes, by the best. And I said, I like that. Can I use that? So I've adopted that now as far as part of my life and how to answer things. And it makes me reflect a little bit too about who I am, what I do, and just what I believe in. And do I actually live that belief by what I say and what I do? And so I try to be blessed and try to bring that blessings to others, which is kind of what the topic is tonight. And it was interesting to hear too at the very beginning of his prayer. He asked for blessings upon us. And there's the two things. We have the two opposites. We have blessings and we have curses. And I'll probably focus more tonight on blessings. It's good for us to look at the curses too, because that's part of really of our life. We do find ourselves once in a while throwing out the curse. Maybe not so much a word. Sometimes even the curse is just simply an action. So I would start, if I can, with a story. A story I got from a very good friend of mine. It's called The Blessing. It's about this boy who was raised up in the forest with his dad. And he'd go and gather wood for his father and do work for his father every day. And he worked hard, very hard. In fact, most fathers would be very proud of him. But every time he came home from a day's of work, his dad would kind of cry out, poor me, poor me. I will die a sad old man, because you, my son, are a fool, and you will never amount to anything. But the truth was, the boy was not a fool, because he was a hard worker. He showed a lot of wisdom for his age, and he had a very generous heart besides. He didn't just help his dad, he also helped others. So one day, after helping an old woman with her firewood, as he's bringing it up to her home, she stops him and she places her hands on his head, and she says, you are a reflection of the face of God. The world is brighter for the joy that you bring me this day. And so I bless you. And at first the boy, this is kind of unusual, he's had his father curse him. And he's like, what is that? She says, well, that's a blessing. Don't you haven't had a blessing before? I don't know what that is. She says, my dad always says different things to me. So when he got home, he asked his dad, he says, Dad, why don't you bless me? So what a foolish question that is, my son. Because it's against my nature to bless, he said. And I must be true to myself. For I will not do what feels unnatural. So poor me, I will die a sad old man, because you are a fool, and you will never amount to anything. Oh, said the boy. And he felt sorry for his father, but that day, he decided that day, from this moment on, that he would start to bless. And he would be blessings for others. As he grew, he finally left his father, left the forest to make a life for himself, got married, had children. Yet every so often he would remember his father's curses. And they made him sad. But he'd call one of his children to himself and he'd pull his child before him and he would say, "I will die a happy old man, for you are a reflection of the face of God, and the world is brighter for you because of this, for this day. I bless you." One night, he had a dream. In the dream, he heard his father saying over and over again, "Poor me, poor me. I will die a sad old man, because you are a fool and you will not amount to anything." And it upset him so much that he woke up and he went outside. And the moonlight was there and he's just frustrated. He filled his hands, turning into a fist. Just the anger was inside. And the more he would hear these curses of his father, the more angry he became. Soon he just kicked up the ground and the rock just busted through it. He grabbed the rock and ready to throw it. And the wind started to blow. And he heard a voice. It said, "Do not discard your father's heart." He was kind of unsure, what was this? And so he waited again and he heard it again. "Do not discard your father's heart." "Who are you?" he yells out. He said, "I am the father of every son and daughter, and I tell you, the rock in your hands represents the condition of your father's heart." So the young man looks at the rock, and it's rough, and you can see it's been broken from another rock. It's got a lot of flaws, a lot of cracks within it. He says, "You can try to change this rock. You can press it until your fingers break, but you will not succeed in changing this rock. Neither will you succeed in changing the heart of your father by force or by manipulation. So hold your father's heart gently within your own and pray for him. For you have no idea what forces were made or that made this rock the way it is. Neither do you know what forces that shaped your father's heart. So hold it gently within your hands and within your own." So the boy asked, or the man asked now, "How did his heart become this way?" He says, "When he chose to curse instead of bless. But do not be so proud, for yours would have become like this if you had not blessed others, or no one has blessed you." He says, "I recall an old woman one time who gave me a blessing." He says, "Well, the voice was hers, but the words were mine." "Why didn't you bless my father when he was a kid?" He says, "I did bless your father. I bless each of my children. But I never forced them to bless in return. For the choice is always theirs. In eternity, you will have no questions. But for now, it's enough for you to decide to bless each and every day and not curse. Hold your father's heart gently within your own and pray for him." "Father of every son and daughter," he says, "bless my father." And at that moment, the wind stopped and died down. His heart became peaceful, and the words of his father went away. But he put the rock in a safe place in his home, and he went back to it every so often and would pray and carry it, especially when the curses would come around in his memory. And each time he did that, peace went within his heart. One day, this blind beggar rang the doorbell and he came to the door and he recognized it was his dad, but he decided not to reveal who it was to him. So he said, "Hello, grandfather." He says, "What can I do for you?" He says, "Well, I have no place to go." And he was blind, the old man was blind at this time. "I have no place to go. says, well, I'd be happy to have you here at my house. Well, I can't pay you a thing. And we don't ask for money. We ask only here in this house that you bless and not curse. It's against my nature to bless, he would say. Well, grandfather, I can tell by your hands that you worked hard all your life, because it's against your nature to beg as well. Yeah, I see your point. Okay. Bless you. That's not bad for a first one. Come on in. So he took the daddy in. Cared for him. He got to meet his kids. And every so often he'd turn and says, oh, you're such a nice man. I wish my son had been like you, but he was a fool. Would amount to... Stop. Please. Just blessings, no cursings. Eventually, again and again, he would continue to learn to bless, and learn to be a man of joy, as opposed to thinking of the negative things and the cursing things. It was after a while, several years in fact, that he finally grew old and fell ill, and he was near death. He was lying in the bed, and his son was there, again not knowing that it was his son. And he said, no one can bring me what I want most of all right now. He says, grandfather, what is that? He says, I'd like to see my son. I'd like to bless him. For when I was growing up, I only gave him curses. And he asked for blessings, but I told him it was against my nature to bless. But I see now that I have learned that it's not true. And I've learned to bless too late. The young man leaned over to his father and he whispered, Papa, it's not too late. I am your own son. God saw it fitting that we could bring us together. Over these past years, I am here. It is me, your very own son. They embraced, unable to speak at first because of the emotions. Yet he slowly reached up and he laid his hand on his son's head. He said, my son, you are a reflection of the face of God. And though I cannot see you with my eyes, I see you with my heart. And the mercy you have shown me is like a brilliant light dispelling all the shadows as I pass from this life into eternity. The world is a brighter place for the joy you have given me this day. I will die a happy, happy old man, because I have learned to bless. And so, my son, I bless you. After speaking these words, his hand fell back to his chest and he died. That night, the young man sat at the kitchen table by candlelight, and taking out that rock again, he put it into his hands and he was looking at it and crying, and a tear fell on the rock and it broke open. And within this rock was a beautiful stone, precious color and size and texture, smooth to the touch. And outside, this wind blew again and a voice came. Thank you for your decision to bless. Thank you for being a reflection of the face of God in this world. For eternity is now brighter because of the joy you have brought me this day. And I bless you. The wind grew still, and there was peace again in his heart. It's a fairy tale. And yet, there's so many truths within that little story. So many truths in our own lives, of times that we have chosen to bless, and yet sometimes even chosen to curse. Do you guys say blessings? You got to help me out with this because I can't tell like this. Yes?
Yes.
Do you say curses? Don't be liars. Yes, I do. Once in a while, it comes out. And maybe that's not so much when we think curse, we think of a cursed word. It's not just the word that we say. It's sometimes it's just the actions we do. Sometimes the way it's just the reality of the way we treat people can be actually a curse. Because blessings bring people up. Curses draw people down. You know, as a priest, I mean, well, first, I was born and raised Catholic. Came out of the womb and they baptized me pretty much 20 days after I was born. And grew up in the Catholic faith and all that way. And I remember when I was a little kid, the nuns at Catholic school, they give you a holy card. It's blessed. Ooh, so you have to take good care of it because it's a blessed holy card. It means something. My first communion, I got a rosary from my godmother from Europe, which was blessed by her bishop. Like, ooh. And my mom would tell me, don't, twist, swing it around like this. It's a rosary. It's blessed. It's holy. You don't throw away blessed things when they get old and used. You can't just throw them away because there's a sense of when people put blessings on things, it's like we put the presence of God within them. When someone sneezes, you know where that tradition comes from? Why do you say, I bless you? Do you know? Do you know? You know? Okay. Anyone here know?
I thought that your soul was escaping.
Your soul was escaping. Who's going to grab it? That devil. Bless that guy. Put that soul back in there and protect it. You know how you do that thing. Have you ever seen Hispanic people make the sign of the cross? They do this, they get their little thumb and they make little things like this all over their bodies like this, and they finally do the sign of the cross, and then they kiss themselves. Do you ever notice that? They also make a sign of the cross, and there's a little hole here. Do you see the little hole? They'll close that hole up so the devil can't get back inside, and they'll make a little kiss like this as a way of blessing themselves, of keeping that bad presence out. But again, the idea of blessing, when we say, bless the Lord, my soul, it's a sign of praise. A sign of blessings. And sometimes at funerals, people come up and we bless a cassock. We put holy water on top of it. It's a way of kind of saying thanksgiving for the person's life. But also, too, recognizing that God was present with that person, and He is present even so now. The Beatitudes, we say, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. And the meaning from that one is how happy you are. And why are we happy? Because God is within us. So blessings really is a way of taking, I say, I want to put God within something or within someone. You all say blessings on your food, I hope, before you eat, right? We call it grace. I don't know what you guys call blessings. Or grace? Grace, great. But you say a blessing over your food. Why? Because we want to know that this is where it came from. This is with God. This is part of God that is here. When I was a priest at the Mexican church, that was my very first assignment as a pastor. They put me in a church that spoke only Spanish. And here's a gringo. Hi, hola, ¿cómo está? Not knowing much. I mean, I knew the language somewhat, but people would start coming to me after Mass, and they'd bring things, and they'd drive their car up in front of the church and say, Padre, bendecilo. Bless this car. And I get out my holy water and start saying their prayers. And then they'd open the truck. No, Padre, aquí también. And the motor, and the back seat, and the glove box. They want God to fill that whole thing up because they want the sense of a presence, of something holy to be around. I've never touched a woman's womb before. Never, ever. Afraid to death of getting close. And here you're a priest, you're supposed to be holy and can't touch things too much. And some lady grabbed me one time and just placed her hands and goes, Padre, bendecirme. Bless me. I go, whoa, okay, trying to bless the womb. But yet, what a beautiful thing to want and desire God's presence. In almost a physical way. To be there. To be with her child. To be with that car. And I feel safer. I get the blessings of God in this car. To say a prayer with a rosary or some beads. Because they're blessed. There's a sense of God within them. It's tangible. You can kind of touch the thing. So we bless. And we curse. Cursings aren't, we don't advertise those so much because we're not very happy with them. We're almost ashamed of them in a way. But we do. And God knew we would. That's why He gave us forgiveness. Because He knew once in a while we'd blow it. We'd get mad, we'd get angry. You know when you curse the most? Well, you're sitting there like, tell me. How many people here curse, and not curse like words coming out of your mouth, but curse within your thoughts or in your minds when you're driving? Especially if you're from Phoenix. They are slow here, aren't they? Very slow in this place. And then that train, cursed train. Because it's not just one that goes by, because as soon as that's about ready to go by, here's the other one. Going the other way. Another 5 minutes. Okay, count them. 110 trains. There they go. And we find ourselves cursing. We find ourselves cursing when things don't go our way. How many people were cursing, maybe under their breath, during the Super Bowl? I don't know why. When you lose a game, do you find yourself again cursing? When someone doesn't do the right thing around you, sometimes that curse even comes out. And it's said. So let's look at just a couple of phrases. Oh shoot, I'm going fast. Look at Mark chapter 10. And people were bringing children to him, that he might touch them. But the disciples rebuked them. What would be another word for that? Disciples cursed them. And when Jesus saw this, he became indignant and said to them, "Let the children come to me. Do not prevent them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. For amen, I say to you, whoever does not accept the kingdom of God like a child will not enter it." Then he embraced them, and he blessed them. He put the presence of himself within them. This is blessing. And yet the disciples, no, we shouldn't be doing this. We don't want those little kids, those little noisy little squatters around them. Get them away. You're a curse. You don't deserve this. A simple little phrase and a very obvious one. The next one is from Mark 14. Maybe not as obvious. But when he was in Bethany, reclining at table in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of perfumed oil, costly, genuine spikenard. She broke the alabaster jar and poured it on his head. There were some who were indignant. Why had there been this waste of perfumed oil? It could have been sold for more than 300 days' wages and the money given to the poor. And they were infuriated with her, cursing her. Just that thing, it's not going my way. And yet Jesus doesn't seem to be bothered by this at all. In fact, this same story is it's in 3 of the Gospels, John's, Mark's, and Luke's. And so Jesus says to her, "Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? Why do you make trouble for her? She's done a good thing for me." He's enjoying the sense of being blessed. He's enjoying the sense of someone embracing him, giving him some peace, giving him some hope. Jesus is modeling for us. We are to be a people of blessings. People who consciously think of how can I bless today? And how can I bless the curses in my life? Bless the times that when things don't go my way, to see God's way instead and put a blessing as opposed to a curse. I've gone on for 20-some minutes and you told me that'd be about right. I got another story to read. It's short. You want it?
Yes.
I feel like I used to be an elementary school teacher. Okay, kids. Gather around. The good tables could always sit in the front. And I kind of noticed that too. I thought the Catholics were the only ones that did sit in the front pew. Guess so. There's 2, this is by, if you ever go to read Walter Wagner Jr., he's an Irish author. Incredible stories. It's a bunch of little stories. And this is blessing and curses. There's 2 gas station attendants. One met at a self-service pump, the other at her desk. The first was on a chilly night, cold night. The second was in the afternoon. The sun was shining bright, but not inside the building where she sat. What caused their different attitudes? I wouldn't know. There may be a host of reasons why the latter one was so bitter and why the other one was so excited. But right now we see 2 things, a blessing and a curse, a building up and a tearing down. So this man had his collar up in the rain, and he was filling his tank with gas, and it was cold and trying to keep things somewhat warm. And all of a sudden, besides him, stood an attendant, his hands in his pockets. His presence was not rushing me because it was a peaceful presence. He said hello with a nice smile that flickered across his face. He wasn't a chilled stranger, though I did not know him. And when he spoke, he looked directly into my eyes, without fear, without embarrassment, with neither judgment or haughtiness nor threat. I, whoever I happened to be, whatever my family or profession, I was there for him that very particular moment. He was lean, dark-haired, streaked across his forehead with the rain. You could see it wet. He shook his head slowly when he saw my brown face, the brown face of my kid looking out the window of the car, and the raindrops spilled on his chin. I think he laughed. The Philip seemed to take an awful long time. I didn't run into any crisis. I didn't need anything fixed. I hit my $17 right on the nose, pulled out the cash and paid him. And he rolled it up in his hand and put it into his pocket. He didn't solve anything for me, nor did he save me from any disaster or fix anything that I couldn't have fixed. But nevertheless, he did the extraordinary. He shook my hand. He smiled one more time to me and he said, "Thank you." I admit it. It's minor, nearly forgettable. Why would someone even write about the story? Except that I got back in my car. It was a Nova. I stopped for a moment before I turned the key, and my son asked me, "Dad, why are you smiling so much?" The fellow had built me up. He had blessed me. And I never saw him again. Neither did I see the other attendant again either. But I remember her too. She kept her separated seat while I was filled the thirsty car. No matter to that, most attendants don't pop out of the station for every jack that shows up and pumps the handle. But when I entered the building, she sat there in her seat with her eyes kept downwards, staring at the top of her desk. There was no book. She was not reading. She was simply staring. I held up my money. "What do you want?" "Well, take it. I paid for my gas." "How much was it?" $17. These were the lines from her nose. There were lines from her nose to the corners of her mouth. Sullen lines. Anger for some reason or another. And I was, it seemed, an intrusion in her life. She snapped the bills from my hand and she bedded them into the slots of her register. She was chewing gum. It cracked. She was whirling her hair with her forefinger. I think I stood there too long. "Your car stuck? You waiting for something?" "No." I slid disquieted into my car and sat for a while. Cursed. Brought down. You may say, "How can I serve the Lord? I'm not important. Who am I? I just go about my daily life. How can anything that I do that is common have any consequence in this world?" But I say to you, every time you meet another human being, you have an opportunity. It's a chance for holiness. For you will do one of two things when you meet each and every person that day. Tonight, tomorrow. You will bless or you will curse. You will acknowledge that who he is, or you will make him sorry for who he is. You will create or you will destroy. All the things you do dignify or deny that you are God's own property. Let us go forth and bless. We're going to sing a little bit first, I think. It's 5 o'clock, and you are loved.